Kennywood. What a beautiful park full of great coasters. Kennywood is an amusement park in West Mifflin, Pennsylvania, and is the definition of a family-friendly park mixed with elite thrill rides. Kennywood has 8 roller coasters ranging from classic woodies to innovative steel creations. How do I rank the roller coasters at Kennywood Park? Find out next on Coaster Jawn. Welcome back to Coaster Jawn. Today we'll be ranking the 8 roller coasters at Kennywood. Before we get started,
does anyone want to get out?
if you're a fan of theme park content like this, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out. I had the pleasure of visiting this park 2 summers ago in 2019, before all the pandemic restrictions, and got on all 8 coasters there. Kennywood is a stunning park full of so much rich history. You can tell that the park management really cares about this place, and the Pittsburgh area is definitely grateful for it. Park atmosphere is great and all, but here at Coaster Jawn, we care most about coaster collections, and Kennywood certainly has an impressive lineup of coasters. Let's kick off this list with number 8, Lil Phantom, built by Molina & Sons in 1996. Lil Phantom is the park's kiddie coaster, so naturally it comes in last place. Despite this, it's still a classic little ride. It's perfect for blossoming enthusiasts, and honestly, everyone should go get this credit just for its uniqueness. It's got a great setting, with a view of the factory across the Monongahela River. The queue line goes under the lift hill, there's a manual handbrake, and Lil Phantom is themed after its big brother, Phantom's Revenge. As for the ride itself, it's fine, not painful at all, but it's still a kiddie coaster, so I give it a 2 out of 10. Number 7. Exterminator, built by Ofshane in 1999. Exterminator is an indoor spinning wild mouse, themed to exterminators hunting mice. It's definitely an interesting theme, a little strange, but I don't hate it. This is definitely the most themed coaster at Kennywood, in the queue and on the ride itself. I got some decent spinning on it, and I really loved the dark setting. I actually almost like this as much as Laugh Track at Hershey Park, despite that being a newer model with a better layout. I give Exterminator a 4.5 out of 10 for originality, and I think it fits well into Kennywood's lineup. Number 6. Racer. While making this list, I actually almost considered putting Exterminator higher than Racer, because I really didn't enjoy this coaster. Racer has a very boring, uninspired layout, and it really didn't do anything for me. Maybe I would have gotten more airtime if I had sat closer to the back, but either way, it's not a very good wooden coaster. The one redeeming quality of this ride is its history. Designed by Jawn Miller and built in 1927, Racer is a staple of Kennywood's history, and is recognized as an ace roller coaster landmark. Historic significance aside, I think this is Kennywood's best option for an RMC conversion, but let's save that for a future video. Racer is okay, a 5 out of 10 in my book, but I much prefer the other wooden coasters at Kennywood. Number 5. Skyrocket, built by Premier Rides in 2010. This first generation Skyrocket model is the older brother of the Skyrocket 2 clones, which have popped up all over the country. I think Skyrocket is an extremely underrated launch coaster. It's definitely not as intense as something like Maverick, but it's still very fun. The launch is good, not great, but one of my favorite parts of the ride is the 90-foot tall top hat, which gives a good pop of airtime and then has a set of trims which provides great hang time on the way down. It then goes into a cutback and a 0G roll, both of which are quick and whippy. The second half of the ride is definitely a bit lackluster due to the mid-course brakes which really slow the train down. The corkscrew is okay, but pretty much everything else is just airtimeless airtime hills. If the initial speed was maintained throughout the layout, the final bunny hills would give much better airtime, but the mid-course brake really kills Skyrocket for me. I still really like it and give it a 7 out of 10, but Skyrocket would be much better with a faster second half. Number 4. Jackrabbit. Designed by Jawn Miller and built in 1920. This classic Woody is yet another ace roller coaster landmark at Kennywood, as it just turned 100 years old in 2020. I'm sure that in 2019, it probably ran just like it did in 1920. The big draw of this ride is not only the insane airtime, but also the lack of restraints on it. Jackrabbit only has a seatbelt and a stationary hand railing. That's it. The only thing that keeps you from flying out of the train on numerous ejector airtime moments is a lone seatbelt. This freedom is exactly what makes the double downs on Jackrabbit so epic. If it weren't for such a limited restraint system, Jackrabbit would probably be much less exciting. I give Jackrabbit a 7.5 out of 10 because it may not look like much, but it still packs a punch despite its age and size. Number 3. Thunderbolt, yet another coaster designed by Jawn Miller in 1924 and remodeled by the National Amusement Device Company in 1968. Formerly known as Pippin from 1924 to 1967, Thunderbolt is yet another ace roller coaster landmark at Kennywood, and my favorite of the 3. Thunderbolt is very similar to Jackrabbit in the way that it utilizes the hillside into its layout, creating great moments of airtime. Thunderbolt is also very exposed, having only buzz bars to hold you in. Now, I know that some people may not like this ride because of its strong laterals in the second half and the lack of separation between the seats, which causes riders to smush into each other. These strong laterals are exactly why Thunderbolt has a bizarre rule that you have to ride with a partner. Since I visited Kennywood by myself, I ended up getting very well acquainted with some other enthusiasts who I met at the park that day. I know that because of COVID restrictions, some people weren't able to get on Thunderbolt by themselves. And I gotta say, that's a real shame, because Thunderbolt gives very strong moments of airtime, right out of the station even. Couple that with an amazing setting with Phantom's Revenge weaving in and around it, and you've got yourself an 8 out of 10, making it one of my favorite wooden coasters out there. It all comes down to this, my top 2 coasters at Kennywood. Let me start off by saying that these next 2 coasters are neck and neck in my overall rankings, and I'd say that I like them both evenly, but for the purpose of this video, I'm gonna have to choose just one. That being said, the number 2 coaster at Kennywood is...
Well, we're waiting.
Phantom's Revenge.
What? Yeah, hope you're all happy now.
Built by Aerodynamics in 1991 and remodeled by Morgan in 2001. Now wait just 1 second. Hang with me here. I understand that for just about every other enthusiast, Phantom is better than Steel Curtain. And honestly, I don't blame you. But to me, Steel Curtain is just slightly better. But hear me out, because I love Phantom just as much. Phantom's Revenge was born in the ashes of Steel Phantom, an Aero Mega Looper which ran for almost 10 seasons. What Morgan created in its place was an airtime machine. Steel Phantom was transformed into a more conventional, and in some ways less conventional, hypercoaster, focusing solely on airtime rather than inversions. And this thing sure delivers. Even though the first drop doesn't do a whole lot, it's that second drop after the first hill where this thing shines. The structure of the lift hill is only 160 feet tall, but the drop off the second hill down into the ravine is 228 feet tall and feels like it lasts forever. From there, you are thrown into a pair of giant sweeping helixes and numerous unexpectedly quick little airtime hills. Yet another coaster at Kennywood with little restraints. Phantom only has a seatbelt and a minimal lap bar, both of which do practically nothing to keep you from flying out of your seat. I liked Phantom a lot during the daytime, but a night ride on this takes it to another level. Now, even though the airtime is legendary, I actually found it kind of painful and hard to brace for coming back down. This is probably the only flaw of Phantom's Revenge, which is honestly just a side effect of its greatest asset. Phantom is also a tiny bit short in length, but I'm honestly nitpicking at this point because Phantom is nearly perfect. Overall, Phantom is an incredible ride, and I love it dearly. And after 5 rides, I give it a perfect score, 10 out of 10. However, I do love another coaster just slightly more. Number 1, Steel Curtain, built by S&S in 2019. This new for 2019 hypercoaster is themed to the Pittsburgh Steelers football team. And not only do I love the theme, but I love how wacky and unconventional this thing is. I might be a little bit biased toward this ride since it was my 100th coaster and that I was able to ride it in its first 2 weeks of operation. But even though I'm not a fan of the Steelers, I'm still a huge fan of Steel Curtain. Not only is it the tallest roller coaster in Pennsylvania at 220 feet, but it has the most inversions in the United States with 9 or 8, depending on what you believe a banana roll is. Either way, Steel Curtain really just clicked for me. It doesn't have the most airtime, as it mostly focuses on inversions, but those inversions are all done so well. They're all so scary, smooth, and high off the ground that I became obsessed. The few airtime moments Steel Curtain does have are done very well, and I also love the ride's interaction with the surrounding pathways. It's just mesmerizing being able to walk under almost the entirety of the ride. Finally, Steel Curtain has crazy comfortable lap bars, which are relatively minimalistic, except they do have a shin guard, but I didn't notice it too much. Maybe if I get back to Kennywood in 2021, and if Steel Curtain is actually open, I might think differently about Steel Curtain, and maybe even prefer Phantom. But for now, Steel Curtain is also a 10 out of 10 for me, a perfect coaster, and still one of my all-time favorites. Pun fully intended here, but Kennywood definitely scored a touchdown with Steel Curtain. And that's my ranking of the roller coasters at Kennywood. I still think this is an immensely underrated park, and should definitely be a destination for all enthusiasts. What did you think of my list? Are you one of the many people who think that Phantom should be ranked higher? Leave a comment down below how much you loved or probably hated my list, but try to keep it civil. That's all for now. Until next time, ride on.